Hey everyone, today we're tackling something pretty big. Nekusar the Mindrazer has been one of the most popular commanders for years, exciting both casual and competitive players alike. In this video, we're going to tech an amazingly fun Nekusar build that costs around $90. That may seem high to you, but when each card averages less than $1 and the strategy still remains tier 1 hilarious and awesome, we did something right. To make sure that we stay within our financial constraints, we'll be using TCG player pricing throughout the video to show you what we're spending, and if you want to see the deck list or purchase any of the cards we talk about in one fell swoop, you can do that by clicking the first link in the description. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, remember to hit that like button, helps out a lot. We'll begin with the commander himself. Nekusar is 2 of anything, 1 blue, 1 black, and 1 red for a 2/4 legendary creature zombie wizard. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekusar deals 1 damage to that player. As you can see, Nekusar has a very interesting and unique ability. You kill your opponents by giving them an embarrassment of riches, too many cards. And since Nekusar is blue, black, and red, we're going to be building a draw-centric deck with a control shell around it. This is unlike any commander deck you've seen. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, shall we? Remember, the entire point of this deck is to get our opponents to draw as many cards as possible. What better way to do this than with Wheel of Fortune type effects? By this I mean cards that cause players to get rid of their hands then replace them. Get rid of could mean discard, exile, or put back into their libraries, but the important part is that they draw afterwards. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekusar deals 1 damage to them. Now imagine Nekusar on the battlefield and you cast Reforge the Soul, Time Reversal, or Wheel of Fate comes off Suspend. So many draw triggers, think about it. You're in a multiplayer game with Nekusar out and you play one of these that's savage. Best part? There are so many wheel effects in this deck you will never have a problem abusing Nekusar's trigger. While drawing 7 isn't all that common, both Magus of the Jar and Magus of the Wheel excel at triggering Nekusar. We're also running Dragon Mage and Runehorn Hellkite for additional 7-card draw spells. But that isn't enough, so we employ the talents of smaller wheel effects, replacing cards based on hand size rather than a concrete number. We're running Dark Deal, Incendiary Command, Molten Psyche, Windfall. 18 of these hand cycle cards in the deck. 18! You're bound to get a few on your way to victory. As far as creatures are concerned, there aren't too many effective wheel creatures, but Jace's Archivist and Whirlpool Warrior join the aforementioned Mage and Hellkite as solid budget options, with the Archivist specifically being an absolute bomb in this deck. Each turn you get to do this for 1 mana? Come on, that's insanity. Add in more solid wheel options like Teferi's Puzzle Box, Winds of Change, Whispering Madness, and Collective Defiance, and you have one heck of a card cycle package, one that will surely make Nekusar proud. When you're doing all this cycling, you're also forcing your opponent to discard a lot of cards. And while discard isn't exactly a focus of this deck, we'd be remiss if we didn't include at least a few ways to take advantage. Liliana's Caress, Megrim, and Geth's Grimoire are all solid discard synergy spells. The Caress is going to annihilate life totals if left unchecked. I mean, your opponent loses 2 life each time they discard, and you're running 18 hand cycle effects, you do the math. The Caress is a 2-mana uncommon from M11, but it is a true nightmare for your opponents. If 1 wasn't bad enough, 2 is much worse. Megrim joins the party as another piece of discard synergy insurance. Again, not a focus, but a solid inclusion that forces your opponents to do something or they just die. Geth's Grimoire is here honestly because I can't avoid this amazing value. You get to draw all the cards you want. Be careful not to deck yourself, but still, the Grimoire can help you come back from a rough spot by refilling your hand to max capacity. Now, cycling effects just aren't enough. We need more oomph, more draw spells for everyone. We're really an equal opportunity offender here. All we need our opponents to do is, well, draw cards. So say hello to the not-so-subtle card draw package. Damnable Pact, Minds Aglow, Prosperity, Sky Scribing. I mean, I don't really have to explain what's going on here, right? Force your opponents to draw cards and take a ton of damage. In the case of the Pact, they lose a lot of life, and that isn't the only card we have like that. Master of the Feast punishes through card draw. Saizan forces your opponents to both lose life, then draw cards, losing more life. And Fevered Visions draws them cards and hits them afterwards when they have too many cards in hand. You can't tell me this isn't knee-slap hilarious, right's friggin' genius. And that isn't all. We're also running Dictate a Crew Fix, Well of Ideas, Howling Mine, Temple Bell, and more for additional hand harass. all these cards are going to whittle our opponents down to nothing. We can start to see what's coming together here. Your deck is 100% designed around Nekusar, and most of it is full of card draw and card cycle effects, but we can't win with just that. We need some more synergies to really oppress our opponent. They have to hate themselves, and you, a little bit, and that's what this section is for. It's time to punish the other saps at the table even more for drawing cards. Due to the massive amount of card drawing they'll be doing, it's unlikely their hand will ever be empty. As a matter of fact, it'll be quite full most of the time. Enter the Iron Maiden, Psychosis Crawler, Venser's Journal, and Price of Knowledge. Delicious cards that love huge hands. Your opponents have a lot of cards, too bad for them. You have a lot of cards, yay, party time. It's a wonderful double standard. To add another big push to your opponent's sanity, we've included a number of cards designed to synergize with the constant card drawing. Underworld Dream, Spiteful Visions, Phyrexian Tyranny, which is just bonkers strong, by the way, and Fate Unraveler, just to name a few. Remember, these types of effects trigger on each card drawn. Let that really sit with you for a minute. Think about how impactful a single wheel effect is going to be with a card like this on the battlefield. Yeah, it's dirty. Now, while all of this is well and good, it pales in comparison to my favorite card in the deck and its synergy with Nekusar. Nin, the Pain Artist, is designed for this deck through and through. This card is an absolute must include, and it's why it's so expensive. You get to destroy creatures for basically nothing, then wreck your opponent's life total by forcing them to draw cards. This is Nekusar. Nin and Nekusar are besties. My favorite interaction in the entire deck. It's genius, wonderful, everyone will hate you so much. Up to this point, we've seen a lot of the major synergies in the deck. Nekusar is working really hard to kill your opponent via card draw. And to do that, we're going to need a little bit of time. Grixis decks in general aren't known for being the fastest out of the gate, and Nekusar is no different. We're going to need a few turns to really get our engine going, get some key enchantments dropped. We need some time. Luckily, we're in blue, black, and red, three colors that work exceptionally well together to destroy everything. We have your classic control spells in Blasphemous Act, Chaos Warp, Counterflux, and Terminate. These are all normal, but thanks to the deck we're running, there's additional value in sending cards back to your opponent's hands. They might have to discard and trigger one of your enchantments, or you can simply keep their hand full for the next wheel effect. To help accomplish this, we've included Aetherize, Evacuation, Coastal Breach, and Dissipation Field. All of these return cards to your opponent's hands, making it a lot easier to stall the game out, force them to discard, or again, keep the hand full. For the rest of the non-land cards, it wouldn't be a real commander deck without the obvious staples we have to include. The deck isn't exactly creature-centric, but the creatures we do run are quite powerful, so Swiftfoot Boots, pretty solid. You can include Lightning Greaves as well, but for budgetary reasons, we had to cut somewhere. There's also the solid includes like Soul Ring, Commander Sphere, and Dimir and Rakdos Signet. Again, pretty normal stuff here. The boring staples, while, super boring, are always useful, so be sure to run them. All that's left is the land base, which I am monumentally proud of. It's so cheap. We have your classic land staples like Command Tower, Opal Palace, Reliquary Tower, which is quite useful here, and Temple of the False God. These are all normal includes, but then we got a little creative, including budget options Grixis Panorama, Gaia Reach Sanitarium for more value, Rupture Spire for more fixing, and all applicable Vivid lands, among many other solid budget land options. As a matter of fact, there were only 6 lands in this deck that cost more than $1 each, so yeah, we're looking real good on the budget front. Now, we are crazy proud of this build, and it's definitely where to start if you've never built Nekusar before, but if you do enjoy the list and the strategy and you want to upgrade it, we got your back. Forced Fruition is one of the best cards for this deck, but it was too expensive to include in the budget version. You can see how powerful it is though, kind of everything you want. Wheel and Deal, same thing. A bit too expensive, but we needed to make room for more budget options. Also on the list of crazy expensive cards we wish we could include Magus of the Will, Wheel of Fortune, Time Spiral, and Consecrated Sphinx. Add in normal wants like Cyclonic Rift, Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and Demonic Tutor, and you have a solidly upgraded Nekusar deck list. That's the best thing about Grixis. There's so many broken control cards. It's so good. So what do you think about our budget Nekusar build? Is this something that you might be interested in making in the future? Did you know about Nekusar before? Does he interest you now? I gotta know what you're thinking. Also, if you have built a deck or have any experience at all with it, be sure to let me know what you like or dislike about him or the list. Would love to hear your thoughts. Lastly, be sure to click the first link in the description for the deck list and the best prices on cards. If you did fall in love with the deck and you want it right now, this second, You can get it by clicking that first link for around $90, all made that easy. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.